Welcome to the Powercat Podcast, the original K-State sports show. Here's your host, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome, everybody, in here to the Powercat Postgame Podcast. I am not Tim Fitzgerald. I am Cole Carmody. That is Big B, Brien Hanley. I'm wearing my sunglasses just for the start. And, Brien, before we get going, I just have to show you and everyone who just tuned into our live what my view is right now. We are live from the press box with a beautiful Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I'm looking out at. Tried to make it work to make it our background, but you know what? It doesn't matter because K-State got the win, and we're going to talk about it here today. Brien, first off, initial thoughts. K-State gets the W 34-20 over UCF. Give me your thoughts.
First off, we saw a team, Cole, that acted like they wanted to play football. We acted like a team that was excited about playing football, that cared, that was enthusiastic. You saw that throughout the football game. Just a team that acted like, you know what, this is not a drudge playing football. This is something fun that we actually get to do. The effort was there. You know, it's all the execution and stuff wasn't always there, but it's never going to be in a football game. No. But the effort can always be there. That's something that you can control. And they did that today. And I think that's what a lot of fans, Cole, were asking for is just, where's the effort? Where's the excitement? Where's the enthusiasm? And we saw that today. That's my first thought is, you know what? These guys acted like they wanted to play today. So good for them.
They did. And, you know, that was a really hard fought and physical game, right? Yeah. Like I thought K-State was the more physical team. I thought, you know, we've been hammering on this point, Brien, winning the line of scrimmage. I thought K-State won the line of scrimmage, especially on the offensive side. We're going to get into the offensive line. There were some guys who did some good, some guys who maybe didn't do as good, but I thought the offensive line, especially on some of those longer runs, did a really good job of springing Dylan Edwards, who we'll get into as well. But they were the more physical team, and it's almost like they heard what everybody was saying. They heard people's plea to play more physical, to play more disciplined, to play with passion. They were celebrating, and I think we're sitting up here in the press box. Ryan Gilbert pointed this out. After Gunnar Maldonado got the interception, the whole team was so ecstatic that there was a sideline warning penalty.
Yes.
And right, that might not be a big thing to some people, but that doesn't mean that just one guy was excited. It was the entire team. And whatever happened in the bye week, I'm not ready to sit here, 3 minutes into this postgame podcast and say that Kansas State is fixed. Like, no, like they obviously have a lot of stuff to work on. But the fundamental stuff that we wanted to see, I walked away from this game thinking, yeah, I saw exactly what I wanted to see.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, we wanted to see them play a more physical style of football. I'm sure we'll get into what Avery we wanted to see out of him, but I think we saw it today. To be quite honest with you, that's exactly how you want Avery to play. We saw some creativity from the offensive play calling, bringing in the backup quarterback to run the football. I know some people wanted maybe a little bit more of that, but I'm like, if Avery's running, that's what we want, So they did that today. The line played physical. They made some changes on the offensive line. It's finally it was almost like they gave some guys some opportunity, and then when it wasn't working, which the first play of the game, I almost blew my head up, but I just didn't say anything. Having said that, they played a good physical brand of football. Now, again, I don't know how good UCF is, but this is the thing, Cole. It doesn't matter because you could say the same thing about everybody outside of Iowa State. How good were the teams that K-State played this year anyway? And they didn't play good against any of them. So it doesn't really matter. They came out, they played a good football team, a lot to clean up, but you always have a lot to clean up. Even in good wins, you have a lot to clean up. I'm just excited that they went out and won a football game, that they maybe have some confidence that, you know what, this season isn't over. This season isn't a drain. This season isn't finished before it really even got started, that we have an opportunity. And granted, we can get into that later or at any time, but I'm just happy for the guys that they won a football game. That's all.
100%. And I think it started at the beginning of the game, Big B. And I was on record saying that if K-State wins the toss, I want them to take the football. Now, they ended up getting the football because UCF deferred. And what do we see? Well, we see some creativity, and we see Lincoln Cure, the 5-star kid, who, once again, these kids who are 5 stars are 5 stars for a reason. If he's a 5-star, he's good enough to play as a freshman. So a lot of folks were talking about, oh, the reason he's not playing is because he's not that good. Well, I think we saw that Lincoln Cure is good enough to get on the field and had a pretty big-time third down catch to move the chains there in the fourth quarter. But they run a trick play, and he throws an interception. And we can talk about, I always hate when you have a non-quarterback throwing. Like, that's my big thing. I hate that. But I get it. They're trying to make a spark. And so I actually tip my hat to this offensive coaching staff. Was it the time to run that play? I don't know. But they tried something new. And it kind of felt like after that, like, all right, like these guys are in and they're bought in. And ultimately, K-State only ended up getting a field goal after that first quarter. But the offense started to kind of show some signs of life. You brought up Blake Barnett, so let's get into that. I believe he finished 5 carries for 23 yards. Let me pull the stat sheet up. Yeah, 5 for 23. All of that was lined up with Avery Johnson in the backfield with him. You know, Blake Barnett is not the fastest guy in the world, but he runs really hard. And it really felt like that was a tone setter, right? Like, hey, he's even telling the rest of his team. He's telling Avery, I'm going to put my body on the line. I'm going to run hard. Now it's up to you guys to continue to do the same thing. I was really impressed with what the young redshirt freshman was able to do in his limited time today.
Yeah, it was almost like, hey, look, I'm going to run and put my body on the line. I'm going to go fight and scratch and claw for every single inch. If I'm willing to do that, then you guys have to be willing to do that. And I think inserting him to do just that, to come in and get some tough yards, you know, it instilled some confidence, not just in him, but I think it instilled confidence in the entire offense and also the play callers. Like, okay, we can open it up. Because if you notice, Cole, once they did that, things started to open up a little bit as far as the play calling was concerned. You know, a lot of the imagination started to come into play. Going back to the Lincoln Cure interception, it is what it is. He could have thrown it out of bounds, but look, he hadn't seen the field a ton. He's out there. He's trying to make a play. I don't necessarily fault him. I'd fault maybe not enough reps in that situation. Hey, if he's not wide open, just throw it out of bounds. Right. And maybe they did tell him that, but he's like, I can squeeze it in there, man. You know, like back when he was 10 years old playing football, sometimes you just got to throw it away and go to the next down. But I liked what the offense did today overall, Cole. I loved to just get them going, because it didn't start out great. That's the thing. It's not like the offense started out like a house of fire.
Nope.
That's not what happened today. But it was a little bit of a grind, and then once they got into it, then they started going. I will make note of this, though. They did make some changes on the offensive line, and when they did that, the offense started to move, Cole.
Yep, they did. Devin Voss came in, a redshirt sophomore. Big B, that touchdown block that he had with Dylan Edwards on the 7, he got out. I think he kicked out a linebacker, maybe. The second level, blocked the linebacker out, opened up a gigantic hole for Dylan. 2 things on that play, and we'll talk about Dylan here in a second, but I do want to talk about the offensive line. That play is so important because it emphasizes what not only this offensive line can be, athletic. You talk about blocking in space. That's what we talk about, being able to get on your guy and move him out of the way. That's exactly what Devin was able to do. And then Dylan Edwards exploding through the hole is not something we've seen from the other K-State running backs up to this point this season. And so if there's any room for hope or optimism out of this game, one of the things that I take away is that I actually think the running game can continue to get better. You just have to make sure you put the guys in the spots to succeed. Gus Hawkins saw a lot of time at right tackle, and there was a time in Big B, I saw that you tweeted this out there. You had John Pastore at left tackle. You had Devin Voss at left guard. You had Sam Hecht at center. You had Langang at right guard and Gus Hawkins at right tackle. That is the offensive line that I want to see. You talk about having 5 guys play. Give me that offensive line. They're young, they're athletic, they're fast, they're physical. I thought they played outstanding, and I want to give the offensive line, specifically those 5 guys, their flowers.
Yep. You know, I don't think there's been a person that follows K-State football that has been harder on the offensive line this season than I have. Maybe the last 2 seasons than I have, because I just call it like I see it, and it hasn't even been bad this year. It's been atrocious. Not today. And I want to make sure that I'm clear. Not today. It was awesome. Those guys, again, getting out to the second level and getting out in space and actually being able to do something when you get out there. That is what has been missing from this K-State offensive line for 2 years. Not just this year, for 2 years, is getting out there, because you've got a guy like Dylan Edwards that he can get in space. Well, you got to have some blocking out there. And we have some guys that can get out in space and actually get on somebody. And as long as you can do that, this offense is going to be able to move. It was a thing of beauty. The offensive line played well. We can talk about inside, because I see a comments, well, what about the inside or the short yardage running game? I think more of that, Cole, has to do with play calling. I think you got to bring in your backup quarterback. Bring him back in, and, well, they're going to know we're going to run it. So what? Who cares if they know we're going to run it? Or better yet, why don't you do something a little different that we haven't seen? Why don't you, with Avery standing next to him, run an option to the side that Avery's on? Do anything. You have a ton of stuff that you can do. But the whole notion that, well, we can't bring him in because they know we're going to run it, when it's 3rd and 1, most teams know you're going to run it anyway. So it's just a matter of you executing. And that's the whole thing about having a good run game, Cole. Being able to run the football when the other team knows you're going to run it. Or better yet, being able to run the football when you have to run the football. And K-State was, for the most part, they were able to do that today.
At the end of the game, got a first down. Obviously it's a 2-score game, but K-State 3 runs, a first down, taking the games over. That to me was beautiful. And on the day, K-State 44 rushing attempts for 266 yards, Big B. That's good for 6 yards a pop. Dylan Edwards, let's talk about number 3, because he was incredible. 20 carries, 166 yards, a touchdown. That's 8.3 yards a pop with a long of 75. He's a difference maker. And I've said all year, I've been steadfast with this. The part of the reason why Avery Johnson has not had the success he's wanted to running the football is because he didn't have Dylan Edwards. There was a yin, but there's not a yang. And now you have the yin and the yang, and that's what this offense is built around. And he's really good. He's really good in back-to-back games where Dylan Edwards has played the full game each time, against Rutgers in the bowl game, over 150 yards, and then obviously over 150 yards today as well. He's a game breaker. He's a game changer, and they have to find a way to keep him healthy, because this version of Dylan Edwards will help K-State win more football games the rest of the season.
Well, we saw an explosive running back, and not that the guys back there, haven't been average. I mean, again, they can only do what an offensive line can help you do. However, your running back can also help your offensive line, and we saw some of that today. Just being faster and quicker than guys can help your offensive line and help guys get onto the second level, help guys setting up blocks better. Dylan Edwards is just a really good running back. And not that the other guys aren't, but Dylan is just a better running back than those guys are. And that's okay to say. Doesn't mean the other guys are bad. But when your number one guy is back and he's extremely explosive, that helps. It helps. It helped Avery. It helped the O-line. I think it helped the O-line more than anybody.
100%.
It just helped them because he was able to do things that other guys just aren't able to do. Just like you see it all the time, even in the National Football League. A running back like a Saquon Barkley is just able to do things that other guys can't do. Doesn't mean the guys that are behind him aren't any good. It just means he's special. And Dylan Edwards is special. He just is. I'm not saying he's the greatest in between the tackles runner ever. Not that he's terrible, but he doesn't have to be the greatest ever. I thought that him being in the lineup and being full strength meant everything to this offense today. They were just able to do so much. And I'll be honest with you, Cole, I think this is just the beginning. Because as he gets, look, you can be out, he can be in the best shape of his life, but he was out for 5 weeks. You're not going to be in the best shape possible. As he gets up to speed, I think K-State's going to do even more. I think it's going to be even more dynamic, or at least I hope that it's more dynamic with him out there.
I'm really encouraged, obviously, by the running game today. And, I think that as we have the whole week to kind of, digest this game, that's going to be continuing what sticks out. And I think it's worth noting they put up 34 points today on a UCF team who had only given up 10 points, I believe, or was it 13 maybe to North Carolina last week? Either way, they hadn't given up more than 2 touchdowns in a game yet this season. And I know that they'd played the Sisters of the Poor. I get that, as Bill Snyder used to always say. But, this was a UCF team who was playing with a lot of confidence, and K-State, they beat them up. I mean, they physically beat them up. And so that was really encouraging. Another thing that was encouraging is they did this without Jace Brown. And Jace Brown played 1 snap. The first snap of the game. We think there might be some kind of a turf toe or something along the lines of that. We'll obviously monitor that throughout the week. But they did this without their number 1 wide receiver. And to me, that's even more impressive because we know what kind of a difference maker Jace Brown is. And you look at some of the guys who stepped up on the receiving end. Jerron Tibbs, 8 catches for 72 yards. I thought he was a pretty dependable target today. Sterling Lockett played a lot. He only had 1 catch. It was a big-time first down. Lincoln Cure, as we mentioned, had a big-time first down catch. And so, the fact that they were able to do this without their number 1 wide receiver when UCF knew they were going to run the ball, to me, that makes it even more impressive.
It does, because you didn't get the explosive plays down the field in the passing game, and that's the difference. You didn't have somebody that could take the top off of a defense. They weren't out there.
Yep.
So it was kind of a condensed defense, and K-State just said, that's fine. We'll just get physical with you. We'll just go right down the field. And I know that, Dylan Edwards had the long touchdown run, but besides that, it was more, we're going to grind it out. We're going to get 5 yards. We're going to get 8 yards. We're going to get 7 yards. And you got to remember, Avery had 3 drops.
Yep.
If you get those, and those were drive killers, you get those, it's even more yards that this offense can have. And Avery's probably close to 200 yards passing. So, and I don't mean he had the drops. He had 3 passes that were dropped. And you got to help your quarterback there. As much as we've been on Avery as being accurate, you got to catch the football. But yeah, to not have your number 1 offensive weapon up to this point this season not out there, a guy that flip the field, change things for you, is super dynamic. It's almost like, okay, you get one back and then you lose another one. I don't know. I just thought it was such a good job by the offense of just doing what they know how to do, being physical, which they hadn't been all year.
Yep.
And they were physical in this football game when they needed to be physical. And it was just a good thing to see.
Yeah, no doubt. Avery Johnson, 12 carries for 75 yards. Fans, you guys wanted him to run. He ran today. There were design quarterback runs. There were reads. There were scrambles. First series of the game, 3rd and 10. What happens? First down, Avery Johnson. UCF plays man coverage, which we thought they might do. Plays man coverage. They have down the field routes. He steps up, scampers for 20 yards and a first down. There were obviously other opportunities where he could have scrambled, but is it worth it to try and get a first down or to try and pick up 3 yards? And UCF did a pretty good job of containing him for the most part after that scramble. But there was a lot of design quarterback runs, the way he lowered his shoulder on multiple occasions. I saw a lot out of number 2 today, and I thought he was really good through the air as well. 18 of 25 for 25 with 2 touchdowns. You mentioned the drops. Avery was good. He wasn't great, but he was dang good.
You say he wasn't great. I don't know, Cole. Look, we're going to get on him when he's not good. I'm not going to say he was perfect. Clearly he wasn't perfect, but he was pretty damn good today, man. I'm going to give him credit because I get on him when he isn't. I thought he was – look, you look around the conference, and obviously you could say the country, but you just look around the conference of the best quarterbacks. Those guys are mobile. They'll run.
Yep.
And they will get yards when you need them to get yards. You look at your Josh Hoovers, your Brendan Sorsby, Sam Levitts. You see the Barrett Mortons. You see those guys, and they're like, yeah, I'll go get a yard. Avery looked like one of those quarterbacks today.
Yeah.
And that's what he has to be the rest of the year. The difference being Avery's a much better runner than those guys are. And that's the difference. So he's got to be that guy. And, yes, he's going to get up slow sometimes. He's going to get hit on the shoulder. He's going to get hit in the ribs. He's going to get hit in the hip or the thigh or the knee, and he's going to get up slow. That's part of it. That's football. That's part of playing the quarterback position, the way you play the quarterback position. You're not going to get out of it unscathed, and that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay to get beat up in a football game and to need to sit in the ice tub for an hour after the game. Fine. But that's what's required to win. And I thought today, more than anything, Avery did what was required to win a football game, where in the past, you couldn't always say that. Today, you could absolutely say, yes, he did what was required to win a football game. Was it perfect? No, but it was pretty daggone good, man.
And I've seen a lot of quarterback play throughout this conference that's much worse than that. And it brings me to my next point, because Big B, this Kansas State defense in the first half specifically was incredible. Incredible. I think they showed the stat on TV, 49 yards of total offense. If you take away the long touchdown, which obviously, you can't take away that long touchdown pass. I get that. But in general, K-State's defense was really good. And if you look at the stats, the yardage, UCF had over 400 yards of total offense. But it didn't really feel like that. Like, it felt like K-State was in command, especially they were in command in the first half. I thought this defense was flying around. I thought they were playing hard. I mean, the big point in this game is Taven Jackson had to come out of the game because K-State hit him too hard. They were living in the UCF backfield, constantly putting pressure on the quarterback, constantly hitting him. And wouldn't you know it, they had to take him out of the game. Well, the backup quarterback comes in, he throws a touchdown pass, but then he throws a pretty critical interception as well. And so I thought the K-State defense was pretty dang good today. And obviously there's some stuff they need to clean up, but this was the most fast. I'll say that. This was the fastest we've seen this K-State defense play all year.
Yeah, that was the thing. They played extremely fast. Maybe they simplified some stuff. You know what I didn't see a ton of today, Cole, was K-State blitzing. Yeah. They didn't blitz, or how K-State brings 6, sometimes 7 guys. They didn't do that often this game. Look, let's just be honest. You have to clean up the run game defense. Yes. They were able to get out the gate. Here's the thing. They showed a stat on TV. I think it was at one point, they had like 164 yards on 2 plays, and then all of their other plays, and this was through 3 quarters, they had like 135. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can't take those big plays away. I know, if you take it away, well, you can't, because they count, and they were touchdowns, so you can't take those away. So they've got some work to do there and getting their run fits, and guys, you saw a couple of guys ducking their head, trying to tackle in the hole. I'm like, that never, ever works.
Right.
But they played physical football for the most part. Again, let some things get out the gate. You're not gap sound. Okay, you got to clean that up. But they did do a better job of cleaning it up in this game than what they had previously, because in the games prior, they couldn't get off the field, Cole. That was the thing. They couldn't get off the field. If I'm not mistaken, let me just look at this. UCF was 3 of 13 on 3rd down. Well, that's the thing right there. In the previous games, what were teams against K-State? Like 65% on 3rd down? You're not winning games like that, man. And they were able to get off the field on 3rd down today. They played physical. They played fast. Again, it wasn't perfect, but it was better. And I think that's all we've been asking for as fans. Play better, get better, show some enthusiasm, which, oh my God, it seemed like a morgue. What they had been playing those first 4 games compared to today. It was incredible what those guys do. They have to keep that going, because that's the key. It's always been the key at Kansas State, enthusiasm. And I know people think, well, it's just a bunch of rah stuff. That matters in college football, people. It absolutely, especially at this program, it matters. It just does.
Great point from Robbie here. If you have questions, comments, put them in the chat. We'd love to throw them up here. 3 turnovers, only committed 1. I mean, you think about those interceptions. Quay Moss, interception of the year for K-State so far this season. Great pick at the end of the game. Gunnar Maldonado gets his first interception as a Wildcat. To me, Brian, my favorite play of the game, 4th and 1. UCF is going for it. K-State stuffs the quarterback on the quarterback run, and instead of just tackling him to the ground, they strip the ball out, even when he was going to be short, and they get it back anyway. They had 11 purple jerseys to the ball, and that was just, we haven't seen that this year. And that has nothing to do with scheme. It has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with playing hard. And that play in particular, man, that was the moment where I was like, okay, like they're going to win this game, but it's not just about this game. There's obviously something inside of that locker room that either A, pissed them off, B, something clicked, or C, they're just a little bit better than what they've shown. That play in and of itself, I think, kind of encapsulated what this game was about.
Well, the one thing that I also noticed is they kept guys fresh. K-State played 4 linebackers, a minimum of 4 linebackers today. You don't see that very often. Austin Romaine wasn't out there all the time. He was not usually, okay, you got your linebacker, the main guy, he's been a star. He's always out there. That was not the case today. They have decided, look, we need to rotate you guys because your run fits have not been good the first 4 games. We're going to play everybody, and we're going to figure it out from there. Well, maybe that was the key to keeping guys fresh, because I saw Asa Newsome out there today and did some good things. I've been so first of all, I was so high on him, and I've been just so disappointed that his knees just have given out on him. But if he's healthy, Cole, he can play for this Kansas State, and he did today. And I'm not saying he made a ton of plays, but he was out there. He was out there running around, making plays, doing the stuff that he needs to do. They did a lot of that today. They did a lot of rotating guys out there in the front 7, front 4, which you have to do if you're going to be successful. I just thought it helped. I think K-State feels like, okay, we got 4 guys at linebacker. Yeah, we probably have 1, 2 that are better than the others, but I don't know that the separation is so much that none of them can get on the football field. It's better if we rotate to keep these guys fresh. They did that today. I thought that helped. Again, it's a little unusual, but maybe that's what's required right now to win football games.
Yeah, a healthy Asa Newsome completely changes the outlook on this team between Asa, between Gabe Powers, Austin Romaine, and Desmond Purnell. I mean, those are 4 guys I think you got to feel pretty confident about. From the Collins way, it was great to see the defense play across the line of scrimmage, play with passion, and rally to the ball. Malcolm Alcorn Crowder, I thought, was really good on the interior today. That man is a big dude. He's fast. He's physical. He's hard to block. Damian Alalio really didn't play that much today. I think Malcolm Alcorn Crowder has kind of started to elevate himself on the depth chart. He's starting to get healthy. Ryan Davis being back is big. He played some linebacker today when K-State switched up some 3-man and the 4-man. Like, they're doing some stuff defensively. Joe Klinderman was kind of in his bag in the first half. They were surprising UCF with not just the personnel, but the formations too.
I mean, I just think it was, let's empty the chamber. Yeah. We've got to win a football game. Whatever it takes to win a football game. And I think that has to be the approach, Cole, for the remainder of the season. Everything that we have to win a football game, nothing is off the table, And I think because teams had kind of figured out, okay, K-State likes to bring pressure. They like to bring it up the middle. They like to bring 6 guys, 7 guys. They didn't really do that. Like I mentioned earlier today, it was more of, everybody stay gap sound. We're not going to let you run the football. Now, granted, they ran for over 200 yards, but when the money downs, when you had to get off the field, K-State got off the field. When it was time to run the football, K-State said, no, we're not going to let you run the football. You may catch us off guard a few times, and they did. But for the most part, this was a physical defense. And like I mentioned, just whatever you need to do to win a football game. I agree. If you got to go to a 3-man and change to a 4-man and mix that up throughout the game, change personnel, whatever the case, because I think a lot of fans get so caught up in, being imaginative on the offensive side. Well, you got to do the same thing on the defensive side too. I think people forget that. You can't just be vanilla and think that you're just going to stop people. That's not how this thing works. It doesn't work at any level of football like that. You have to be just as imaginative on the defensive side as you are on the offensive side.
And I think it's worth noting, you talk about the blitz. Zayshawn Rich today, a big-time corner blitz with the sack. That was a big play because K-State was very selective when they wanted to blitz. That,
Right.
I watch the Chiefs religiously every Sunday. That was a Steve Spagnuolo dialing up the corner blitz at the perfect time. That's what Joe Klinnerman did on that sack with Zason Rich, who I thought was really, really good in the secondary today. Once again, kind of cementing himself as K-State's best cornerback. Gunnar Maldonado, I think, is still kind of trying to get back into the swing of things, coming off that knee injury. He looked better today. There were still a few times where maybe his run fits weren't quite where they needed to be. But again, that's stuff that I think K-State can clean up. And you mentioned it, Brien, on the money downs, when they had to get off the field, they did. I was really encouraged by this Kansas State defense. And before we kind of talk about what this game means, I got to give a special shout out to the special teams. I thought the kicking game was really dang good today. Luis Rodriguez, 2 of 2, 38-yard field goal, 48-yard field goal, perfect on extra points as well. And then Simon McClannon, 4 punts, averaging 51 yards, 204 total yards with a long of 65. Like, that's a real weapon. And, people don't really look at that unless you're a football person, but to have a kicker and a punter who are solid, that's going to help keep you in games. It might not win you games, but it'll help keep you in games. And I thought overall special teams was really good today.
Well, it's hidden yardage, and that's what people don't look at. Also, the kick coverage teams. You know, it's always hidden yardage that people don't notice. And even the most avid football fan, you don't notice. And K-State's been pretty good on that. Look, we've been screaming about special teams basically the last 3 years. And early part in this year, it had seemed to hit rock bottom. But it has gotten better over the last couple of weeks. And today, as you mentioned, it was pretty good. We got to do better as far as I don't know what's going on as far as punt return stuff. Just got to get somebody that's going to come up and catch the football. That's all. But having said all of that, look, we can nitpick if we want to. I don't choose to do that today, Cole. I choose to be happy that K-State won a football game. That's right. I don't choose to nitpick today. I could do that, but I don't want to do that today. I'll nitpick when they win a game like North Dakota. That's when I'll nitpick. Not today. I got to give these guys their credit, man. Was it perfect? No, it was not perfect. But it doesn't have to be perfect to win football games. You don't always have to be perfect. But when you're not perfect, what do you always need to be is physical. And Kansas State was physical today, and that helped them win this football game. I'm going to go back to the offensive line. I know I'm biased. I don't hide it. I never hide it. The offensive line has been bad. They were really, really, really good today. They were really good today, and they deserve the praise from everybody. But also, Cole, before I go, I know I'm long-winded, the coaches need some credit there too, because the coaches said, you know what, we got to do something different. We got to make change. Look, we're going to give you a chance, but if you're not getting it done, we got to move on. We got to move on. We got to change up. We got to do everything in our power to win a football game. So I think the coaches need some credit too, because they recognize what's going on and we can't continue to do the same thing.
In a season in which it feels like K-State's kind of been out-coached in basically all of their games, even the North Dakota game, I thought they ran circles around Scott Frost and his staff today. I mean, Scott Frost was swimming, and that staff had no idea what was coming half the time. And, I don't think anybody saw the diamond formation with Blake Barnett as your running back and then Avery Johnson as the running back, but I thought it was a really, really good game plan, both offensively and defensively, and just an overall incredible, incredible day for the Kansas State team. They needed this win, Brien. Regardless if they won by 1 point, if they won by 14, it didn't matter. They needed this win, and the fan base needed this win. We're not going to sit here and say that it's all fixed and they're going to win every single game the rest of the season and forget about the first 4 games. Nobody's saying that. But this game was much needed because it just feels like, okay, they have an opportunity now to get on a roll. And I have no idea if this game will mean anything in the grand scheme of, the Kansas State football program or the 2025 season. But this game was just needed. And it feels like the players knew that they had to win. And they played like they expected to win. And that's why this was such a good game.
Right. I saw a comment earlier talking about, well, I've been saying that K-State's not bad. I've been saying it all year. But my thing is, K-State had played like a bad football team. And whether we think they're bad or not, if they're playing bad, you have to say they were bad, because you can't say, oh man, they're just a really good football team. They just play bad every week. Well, I mean, if you continue to say stuff like that out loud, they're going to lock you up in a padded room and throw away the key. Okay. So you can't keep saying that kind of stuff. At the same time, it doesn't mean that they weren't capable. And I think that's the better word, is that they were capable. And today they showed that they were capable. And they were a better football team than UCF. And if you looked at it from the beginning of the year, you would have said, yes, they're a better football team. And you saw that they were just a better football team. Now, doesn't fix all their problems moving forward. They're going to Baylor next week. Baylor basically has a bye this week. They play Oklahoma State. So, it's basically an inter-squad scrimmage is what they're having, because that game will be over by midway through the second quarter. Having said all of that, it's not fixing all their problems, but it does give them confidence. And confidence goes a long way, because you play bad in this game, even if they win. If they were to play bad in this game, they're going to Baylor next week and getting blown out. Period, point blank. That's what's going to happen. Now, they may get blown out anyway, but I don't think so. I think this is a different football team moving forward. I think it's a different coaching staff moving forward. I just think the whole program got turned upside down on its head, and now they're like, okay, we got to get right side up. What do we have to do? Change everything. Okay, fine, change everything if that's what's required. And it seems, Cole, that that's what they did, is that they just said, to hell with it. We'll do whatever. And they won a football game. Next week, Baylor's better than UCF, quite a bit better than UCF. They're going to have to say the same thing next week. To hell with it. Let's go win a football game and just take it not even one game. You know my motto, take it one snap at a time. Go win the snap. And if you don't win that one, then be damn sure that you don't lose the next one. They did that today. They did that today.
They did. K-State legend Darren Howard in the chat with the EMAW, Big B. And, I know you're very biased about the offensive line. I think Darren would agree with me when I say this. Give some credit to those edge rushers today, too. I know Darren was fired up watching number 44, Toby Osunsami, get a sack. Thanks, Darren, and everybody else so much for watching. You bring up Baylor, and I want to talk about that as we start to wrap up the show. Is this sustainable? Because in my mind, what I saw today, it feels very sustainable. And I would say that this was K-State's best game of the season.
Oh, yeah.
But they could easily clean up some things that are, if this is the version that we're going to see, if this is K-State, the K-State that we're going to see the rest of the year, they're going to have a chance to win every single game they play the rest of the season. Like, I'm not saying they're going to win every game, but they're going to be in every single game with the attitude, with the energy, with the effort, and the physicality. Is this sustainable?
The only thing that they're going to have to do, Cole, they're going to have to be more explosive in the passing game. That's what I would say, is the offensive line and how the defensive line played today. Yes, this is sustainable. If you're going to play with that kind of physicality, again, you got some run fits where UCF got out the gate. You got to clean that up, but that's fixable. Those things are fixable. The part that was really lacking was the effort that we had all been talking, that everybody had been talking about, was the lack of effort. Well, if you're saying that they're going to give this type of effort and this type of enthusiasm, you can fix and this type of imagination on both sides of the football. Well, yeah, it's very sustainable, but you're going to have to get more imaginative and you're going to have to be more explosive in the passing game. Now, again, you don't have Jace Brown. That hurts. But they're going to have to be able to do that and go down the field. Or the question is, you're just going to have to get more people involved, which I thought they did a great job of getting a lot of people involved today. But I think you're just going to have to do even more. You're going to have to do even more of that, because as teams say, okay, K-State, we're going to put 7 guys, 8 guys in this box. We're just not going to let you run it. Well, you got to be able to back them up. And today, if UCF had the football players to do that, did K-State, were they going to be able to back them up by throwing the football? I don't know. And you can't back teams up by having 3 tight ends out there throwing them the football. That doesn't work. You're not backing up anybody from that. So you got to be able to take the top off. So hopefully Chase Brown gets healthy and we can be able to do that. Because if we can, Cole, it's exciting. It's one game, but I'm excited.
It is. And first of all, shout out to Finally Tuned here. He said, thanks for the insight. Everybody give a like to the podcast and help support the content. We really appreciate the super chat. The shout out means a lot. Again, if you're watching this live, appreciate it. This is our first time going live after the game for a home game. So let us know if you like that format, and we'll continue to do that. Brien, I'm going to close with this. I'm really excited for the rest of the season, regardless of what happens. And, there's a lot of chatter amongst people online, message boards, wherever you talk K-State, in the office. What's this game going to look like? What's this team looking like right now? And I have maintained that they just haven't played that well, right? You're just sitting there. You're wanting more. You're waiting for more. We saw a lot of that today, but it feels like there's still more in the tank. And I think that's what's exciting I don't think anybody watched this game today and said, oh, that's the best they're going to play the entire year, because you saw flashes of Avery Johnson being really good. You saw flashes of the defense being really good. And then you saw prolonged stretches of it. And you're like, this is the team that was the odds-on favorite to win the Big 12 this year. The odds of that happening still, unless they get things completely changed, which isn't out of the question, the odds of that happening, very slim. But I don't think it's about that. I think it's about, like you said, improving every single game and getting better and putting your team in a good chance to where you're peaking in November. If they continue to get better, there's a good chance that they peak in November. And maybe the record isn't what fans want it to be, but there is still a way for this season to end in a success, whatever that kind of success looks like. But today was a great start.
Yep. I will say this. Tech to me looks like a really good football team. Now we're going to see how good, because we're going to see Utah and what they do against West Virginia, Virginia, not a good football team.
Trash. Yeah.
And so we're going to see if Tech is really good or if Utah was just super overrated, whatever the case may be. Having said all of that, if K-State plays the way they played today physically, they're going to beat Baylor. Because while Baylor is good, they are not a physical football team. That is not what they do. Is they want to throw it around the lot and they want to outscore you. They're not physical on either side of the football. Now, they'll try to run it, but if K-State is physical like they were today, they won't be able to run it. So it's a matter of, can Kansas State get their quarterback on the ground, and can we defend enough? Because they do have some really good receivers, and that quarterback's an NFL quarterback. Let's not kid ourselves. So if we have an opportunity to tip a pass or catch a ball or whatever on the defensive side, but if we play physical and with the enthusiasm that we did today, we will go to Waco and win, Cole. There is no doubt in my mind, because we will be the far superior physical football team on that field next Saturday.
No doubt about it. And as we sign off on this podcast, that is Big B. I'm Cole Carmody. I got to give everyone one more glance of the wonderful Bill Snyder Family Stadium, and I dropped the camera, so there we go.
Unbelievable. People, when you deal with amateurs, that's what you get. You get somebody dropping the camera.
Well, there you go.
That is what sight.
You can look at this as we go ahead and sign off here from Bill Snyder Family Stadium. The Bill says good night. I am Cole Carmody. That is Brien Hanley. We will talk to you later this week.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.